Hey there, everybody in LinkedIn land. Welcome to another episode of my Own Your Expertise interview series. This is a live video, of course. So if you're watching us live, we would love for you to pop into the comment section, chat, say hi, let us know that you're out there. That's always fun. I'm Emily Crookston, in case you didn't know, owner and decider of all things at the Pocket PhD. I'm the ghostwriter for Rebels, Renegades, and Mavericks, and I love helping experts with big ideas get those ideas out of their heads and into their world and into the hands of their fans. Today, I'm sitting here with Dr. Caitlin Faas. Caitlin is a certified life coach, and she has her own company, CFB Enterprises, LLC. As a certified life coach, she really loves and specializes in helping professors to reclaim 5 hours in their week for themselves. So Caitlin, like me, left academia and started a business. So I think that's really cool. We have a kind of kindred spirit in that. And I think what she's doing is really awesome as a life coach, helping especially academics. So Caitlin, thanks for being here with me. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about who you work with and what you do?
Yeah, so happy to be here, Emily. Thank you. And for everybody that's watching, so great that you're taking the time to watch this video. And that is what I specialize in helping people do. I use my anchor framework with my one-to-one clients. I do a lot of one-to-one work with professors and some small groups. And my anchor framework, we're always talking about establishing, envisioning, and embracing. And so for a lot of people, they need to start with establishing, which is the time piece. And if we get your time dialed in, we dial down your distractors and get you those 5 hours every week, then you have time for your goals and processing your emotions, which is something professors don't do a lot of because we're trained to be brains in a jar, brains on a stick without a body and feeling things all the way through. So I love to do that work with my clients, integrating all three together so that they can be the best version of themselves.
Very cool. That's a very structured system. I really like that. You start here, you move there. But I think what I'm hearing is that it really comes down a lot to just getting the mind right in the first place, right? So if you're feeling really scattered, your work probably is kind of scattered. Maybe you're distracted by a lot of things. Your emails are binging at you and you're jumping over here and then going back to the paper you're writing or the lesson plan you're creating or whatever, right? And so if you can kind of slow down and arrange things in the right kind of way, you'd be amazed at the amount of time that you have actually in your week, right? Love it.
For sure. And I had to do this work myself. I was a tenured professor and then became a department chair before I left to be a coach full time. And we adopted our daughter out of foster care during that time. And I get my sleep and go to CrossFit 5 days a week. And I believe in all of it through and through. I'm living it in my life. So I'm never asking my clients to do something that I didn't have to go through and experience myself.
Love that. Yeah, you have to come from experience, right? Especially as a coach. That's the people. That's a big piece of credibility, it seems to me, with coaches. Whenever I'm looking for coaches or taking advice from anybody, I'm always like, well, are they me? Do they understand my struggles? Like, or are they born naturally good at planning, which I'm not good at? You know, right?
Not possible. We're not just born this way.
Right. Good to know. Yeah, great. So you mentioned you were in academia, but why don't you tell us a bit more about your path to becoming an expert?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in human development. And that, first day at kindergarten, I was like, I want to be a teacher. This is amazing. I love teaching. And I would just always work my way up the grades. Like, okay, if I'm in third grade, I would like to teach second grade. And if I'm in high school, I want to teach the middle schoolers. But then I would have experiences of like, in college, I was going to be a family consumer science teacher. I was going to teach sewing. And I was like, I don't think I actually want to teach middle schoolers how not to run their fingers into the sewing machine. I'd really like to now teach college, of course. And so, you can teach college? You can be a professor? I didn't even know that existed until I was immersed in it. And then I kept following that path and studying development, studying growing up and what it means to reflect back on the past, what it means for our present, where we're headed in the future. I love all of it. I never get tired of talking about it.
So human development, pretty much at any age, is that where you kind of studied as you went along? You changed your focus?
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
interesting because you always have to specialize, especially at becoming an expert. And so at first I had that general psychology degree in undergrad, and then in my PhD, it was human development and family sciences with a specialization in child and adolescent development. And then through life coaching, I kind of learned about more stages and more adult development. And right now I'm immersed in other theories and stages about adult development that are so exciting for me. So I just keep immersing myself back into, I remember in grad school learning about some things about adult development. Now I want to go study and read this part of it.
Very cool. Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people think of brain development as stopping at a certain age. Like you reach, 25 or whatever, and then your frontal cortex is fully formed and you're done. You're baked or something. But you're so right, and to think about our brains continue to develop throughout life, right? It's not like we ever stop growing. We're constantly learning new things and taking in new information in the world. So it's so fascinating to study human development and brain development at later stages. And I even recognize that about myself. I can remember thinking years ago, like, I'm 38. Why don't I know how to get myself out the door on time? How is that a thing I'm still not good at, right? Something like that. But it's so true that, the brain continues to develop, and maybe even day to day, what you're capable of changes. I don't know. But
it's always evolving. And it's like having compassion for yourself at all of those stages of, this is where I am today. This is where I'm moving to next. It's part of why I can see clients with a variety of ages. So some of my clients that are in their 60s, and some of my clients are 16. But we all know this experience to be true with adults. Some people seem more grown up, and some 25-year-olds you meet are like super wise. And then there's the 75-year-old that you're like, I'm not sure they ever made it past 20 in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So that's super interesting to think about how much we can stunt our own growth, or how much we can motivate ourselves to grow. So I really love watching your little productivity videos that you do on LinkedIn, because I'm always learning some little trick that I'm like, that's really easy to implement, and I can go and do that, and that's going to make my life easier. So I really respect the stuff that you're doing. And I feel like it's all really experiential and grounded in, what people need. So that's awesome.
Anchored down.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. So tell us your die in a ditch belief. So I talk about this a lot. It's a term that I sort of borrowed from philosophy, but it's, a die in a ditch belief is something that you hold pretty strongly. You probably only have a few that you would say, yes, this is the thing that I'm going to die in the ditch for. This is the belief that I hold. It might be a little bit controversial, but it's something you'd be willing to defend if somebody pressed you on it. So I really loved your answer in the questionnaire about to this. So what's your die in a ditch belief, Caitlin?
Yeah, I talk about it as climbing your own ladder, following your own path, not what everybody else wants for you, because I spent decades just doing what everybody else told me to do because it seemed like a really good idea. That was part of the developing the expertise example of, so the other side to that story was people also said, you should go for a PhD. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea because somebody told me. And, wait a minute, what does this mean? And if I keep following the traditional path, I lived the traditional path in my career. And then to reach the end of that, right, to have tenure and to be looking back like, wait a minute, did I make this up? Was this what I wanted? Maybe. In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. But let's make sure moving forward, I'm always doing exactly what I want. And so I'm writing my book proposal about this right now. That's all of my clients. They know exactly what they want. It's inside of them. They're the only ones who know what that thing is. But when we look externally, like, could you tell me what to do? Could you tell me what to do? We lose that power and we drift away from who we really want to be. So I'm that's part of the anchoring, listen to yourself. It's inside of you. I'll help you uncover that.
Right. What would you say was your sort of light bulb moment as an academic where you realized, oh, I've been following somebody else's path. I need to change course. I need to go in a different direction.
When accomplishments would feel hollow. So at about the same time, next to each other, I had the message from the president that I was earning tenure. It was official. And I was certifying with the life coach school as a certified life coach.
Oh, at the same time. Interesting.
They happened like within a couple months of each other. And one felt like hollow, kind of like, okay, great, bittersweet in a lot one. Like, yeah, I got a gold star.
Yeah,
another one. Is that what I wanted? But certifying with the life coach school, like, didn't make any logical sense why I was doing it. Or, you know, people still think it's a little crazy. But to me, it was like, I did it. I love this. It felt like love and joy and something I wanted. And you get a gold star at the end of that too. Yeah. Your certification, but it wasn't like, oh, and I needed the external validation from it. I know that this was for me. So when you see two side by side things in your life like that, you start to realize maybe if I keep following these and things that bring me real joy, it'll just multiply. Things will just continue to grow. Yes. So I keep following that path.
I see. Yeah, that's good. That was a really clear moment for you. Like, oh, juxtaposition. Like, oh, I don't feel. That's super interesting. So I didn't realize you had done the life coach thing before you actually left academia. You decided to do the certification first. That's also pretty, a smart plan. Like you were setting yourself up, but almost like creating an alternative just in case, right? I imagine you thought of it that way when you started. Like, well, let me see if I like this thing. You were exploring before you like took a leap and got out, which is super smart for anybody who's considering like a career transition. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm very logical and like I'm gonna walk myself over to the pool edge, and look at it, and maybe put my toes in, and be like, maybe I should jump into the pool. No, I don't think so. It took years to be able to both get myself to jump into the pool, to leave, and a lot of my clients don't leave. They realize they do want a big piece of what they're doing in academia. But then it's grounded in what they know and what they want. But for me, it was like, oh, this keeps calling my name and I want to take the leap. And so like, okay, let's go do it. What I had in my mind too was so helpful. It was like, I want to be an example for my clients of I'm trusting my own knowing. Even so this just happened in February that I decided, okay, this is it. I'm done. Right. Yeah. I'm putting this behind. And then COVID happened. Right. And it was like the universe's test of, are you sure this time? Because you kind of said this before and you've been building this business on the side and like, you seem to be dabbling. Are you sure? Here's all the tests. I was like, I'm sure. So it worked out on the other end. But in March, it looked pretty scary.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, if the timing had been a little bit different, you might have been like, well, I don't know, like, maybe I need to stay where I'm at, grab onto the security, rather than the freedom that you could feel as being out there for you, or the thing that your gut was telling you was the right thing. So that's amazing. Well, I'm glad you made the leap. Like, I mean, what a year to do it, but everybody's reinventing. So in that sense, it's kind of a good time to be sort of, really leaping in and doing your own thing full time and all of that. So, good. It's great. Yeah.
It's perfect timing to me. I was like, oh, if I just keep listening to this voice, like then things do work out for me. It gets easier and easier for me. The more I just keep listening and trusting myself and not seeking the external pieces, but coming back to, I know this to be true for me.
Yes, this trust is so important. I've been thinking about that a lot lately because, I think I'm a little bit on the edge of burnout at the moment. I'm feeling pretty busy, and I've noticed that there are things that like I have on my to-do list, but I keep putting them off. I'm just like, I can't deal with that right now. So I know that that's what's happening. And then I have to, then I'm starting to get into that spiral of feeling a little bit guilty about not doing the thing I was going to do. Right. But then like recently I've just been like, okay, you've got to trust this. You're tired. You need a break. And then you'll be able to go back to it. And you can trust the process. It's okay. Like, in an ideal world, I would have gotten that thing done last week, but it's okay if it gets done this week. And, that's part of the process. It's part of the process that you're going to work really, really, really hard and fast and then get burned out. And maybe you could tweak that process. But right now, that's the process. And this is what happens. So yeah, I can be pretty understanding about that for myself. And usually my clients are also understanding. But, that's...
when you've recovered from burnout too, which I did a long time ago, it's like, I'm never going to go back there. I'm never going to treat myself in that way. I'm never going to burn myself out in that same way again. Let's stabilize this out. Trust this process to know when to lean in, when I need to step back, that rest can be involved. So I get a lot of clients that are overworkers. Like, I'm going to do all the things.
Yeah.
I'll just pedal to the metal.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then it's like, wait a minute. Yes, sometimes if it's lined up with what you want to do, then it will actually be joyful.
Right. Exactly.
But if it's not, then you're going to be like, I'm grinding, right? It's that difference between joy and grinding. It's like you're grinding away, not the hard work part. Like, hard work's involved, but grinding, it's like, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Not lined up with listening to myself.
Yeah, I like that distinction, because you're right that when you're feeling energized and it's a thing that you're going after and you're like, yes, you can work and push it really, really hard and it feels good. It feels like, yes, I'm going where I want to go. But if it's just like this grind day in and day out and you're not even sure if it's really leading you to where you're trying to go, that's when it's like, oh my God, like, I can't, why am I still doing this? So there's a real big distinction there that's important to keep track of. Yeah. And I think, what do you do? Do you have advice for those times when it just is a slog? Like, you just, there are moments, like if you're writing a book, for example, right? You're getting into the middle of it. You're really excited in the beginning, but once you get to a certain point, it really is just discipline and just grinding it out and getting it done, or otherwise it'll never be finished, right? If you wait for that joyful moment to come back. So do you have advice for those moments where it's just like, look, grinding is the thing right now?
Well, I'd call it something different than grinding. I think it's like mile 22 of the marathon, 26 miles. And you got to slog for sure. You're just kind of like, my feet are so heavy. And all your brain wants to do is complain. But what are we doing listening to our brains about this, right? Like, it gets tired on the daily. It gets worn out regularly. But it's kind of tapping into that piece inside of you that knows that 26 miles is at the end. Okay, I know there's an end to this. I know at the end I'm going to get to rest. All right, so if we're on mile 22, one step in front of the other, keep going. Those are the moments for me where I have to have a coach of I need to like grasp on, not even grasping, but okay, hold somebody else's hand to be like, you've done this before and I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. And they're able to say, yes, keep going, keep putting that foot in front of the other. Right. So that's super powerful. And I'm always there to hold the hands of my clients of like, I see you, I hear you, like, come on, you got this. It's almost like having that person that's strong enough for you to be able to say, they don't get tired from you being tired. They're like, I know you're tired right now. That's okay. I've got you. Yeah. Borrowing energy from others who can remind you why you're doing it, right? Because you can forget in those moments. Yeah, that's super helpful. Very, very important, I think. Yeah. How would you say you've learned to translate your expertise for others? Ooh, well, through experience and then being able to think of metaphors and analogies of things that like, hey, it's like this. Or here's a common experience that a lot of us have that will help you tie what's happening right now in more closely to what you're going through. So I love, I can often think of kid examples. I've coached a lot of parents, and I mean, it's part of having a specialization in child and adolescent development, but I love to use little kid examples. A lot of us can picture little kids and how they're behaving or what they're doing and say, like, see, that's an example of what's going on right now.
Right.
And then my clients they'll come up with all kinds of examples. Some of them are very thoughtful about computers. And so they'll say, oh, like I'm installing my hardware right now. Be like, yes, run with that. or they have a mathematical example they'll use, or like anything else that's going on in their lives. They'll come up with these beautiful visuals for themselves to tie it down to like, here's what it's like. And sometimes I put those in my videos. And so sometimes the client will be like, oh, you used that example. And then the rest of the clients will be like, that it describes me. And like, you all have so much in common. I promise you're not alone.
That's awesome. So you do one-on-one coaching, and also people are in a group, in a community together? Ah, very good. Yeah.
In groups that I'll set up over time.
Oh, okay. Like small groups.
One group's in the middle. Yeah, they're doing a 6-week little sprint of reclaiming their time as they head into the semester. So by mid-October, they're going to feel more grounded, and they'll have those 30 hours that they've reclaimed. And now they've got that flywheel turning this fall semester.
Very good. So they'll be set up for end of the semester, mid-semester push and all of that. Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. I love that. And what has helped you most, would you say, in learning to own your expertise?
Listening to my teachers, for sure, and paying attention. If anything, I'm a really good student. It's a skill set that a lot of us develop that actually can serve us. If we're not fighting and kicking and screaming along the way, it's like, wait a minute. Could I not be a rebellious teenager to my teacher right now and listen to what they have to say? Like, do the assignments that they actually gave me? Maybe they know more than I do right now.
Yeah. Yes, that is definitely the advantage of taking a program and getting certified, right? You get to learn from all these people who've gone ahead of you and seen it work, right? Rather than reinventing the wheel, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs have that as a challenge, right? Like, I know for myself, like, I'm reading a book and I'm like, I don't believe this. Like, I think I could do it better or different or or whatever. I just want to do my own thing because I don't want to listen to anyone else. So rebellious. So
being a rebel. That's why you help the rebels, right? Because you're able to say like, oh, I know why you're doing this. I do. It's a strength to be able to be like, okay, I'll follow everything you tell me to do. The other edge of that is then, but it has to come from, I know I can trust you because I'm trusting myself to believe in this process.
Yes, exactly. And like, there's a healthy level of skepticism that's important to have whenever you're working with anyone, because for it to work for you, you've got to really internalize it and buy into it. So, if you ignore your questions or you ignore your skepticism, well, then you're in a cult or something. So it's important, but also I
don't know if academics can join a cult, really. I think we have too high of skepticism that it's a little too high. And I try to remind myself of that. Like, I'm too grounded of a person to make some decision. One of the books that drove me crazy for years was Eat, Pray, Love, because I just couldn't. I'm like, I'm not doing that, Elizabeth Gilbert. And I love Elizabeth Gilbert now. Yeah. Pay attention to what she's doing with big magic and all of that. But it was one of those, I think that's part of why my clients will come to me, because I have this normal life, right? I'm paying a mortgage. I have a family. And it's day by day that I'm doing this work. Not, okay, so tomorrow we're moving to India and we'll leave all this behind.
Right. Yeah. I know. It's interesting. Yeah. I have I often have that kind of response to the hype. Like anything that's hyped up, I'm like, oh, it can't be good. But then I read Untamed, I think it is, Glennon Doyle. She's friends with Elizabeth Gilbert. Yeah. Right. And I had sort of a similar reaction in the beginning, and then I kept reading, and I was like, okay, there's actually a lot of great stuff in here. There's a lot of good value, but yeah, somehow that initial, the hype turns me off, and I'm just like, ugh.
That's pretty rebel nature, I would say.
It must be. I don't know. It's just, that's my knee-jerk kind of reaction, I guess. Yeah.
But I think of people like that as lighthouses. Who's your lighthouse? That it's such a solid foundation that has such a bright light that they're shining, and throwing out to the world.
Yeah.
So, like, you hear that call and you're lined up ready to go. And I think Glennon Doyle has done that for a lot of people.
Yeah,
My
totally.
first connection with her was Love Warrior. I listened to like the whole book in one setting on a long drive. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me. So then when you do that, you're waiting for Untamed. It was like, please, Glennon,
Yeah.
like, where's the next one?
Right.
So Untamed was beautiful to say, oh,
Yeah.
that's what's next. And thank you for sharing. And thank you
Yeah.
for being a guide along the way.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. You know, it's true that if enough people are interested in something, there's got to be something to it. There's got to be something in there that anyone can find value in, and you just got to be patient and look for it. Right? Yeah.
And maybe she's not your lighthouse. You know, you got to find your people.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. 100%. Cool. Well, thanks very much for this conversation. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, Caitlin. Can you tell us how to find you online?
Yeah, thanks so much, Emily. So everywhere on social and website, everything is just Dr. Caitlin Faas. So connect with me here on LinkedIn first, please, if you're watching this. And then I have a PDF of 10 ways you can reclaim your time today as a professor. And so you can download that and start to be in my update series of you'll see my regular videos and stay connected.
Yay, I love it. Thank you so much, Caitlin. It's been a real joy. I'll put all those links into the comments as soon as this video has been processed and is up on my page. But anyone can watch, of course, the pre-recording. So awesome.
Thanks, Emily.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.